It's kind of digging into why it's so hard to make big decisions sometimes. Have you ever felt like totally paralyzed by a decision and realized you didn't need to be? This reminds me of when I was picking out countertops for my kitchen 20 years ago. And I loved them 20 years ago, but I don't now. And I knew that was going to happen. That makes sense. It's been a really long time, but I had the hardest time making the decision because I thought, oh, I want to pick something that I'll always love no matter what. I don't want to make a mistake. Here are the reasons why I struggled with that decision and why you might struggle with making major decisions and what you can do about it. The first thing is just uncertainty, right? It's hard to determine which way to go if you don't really understand the outcome or the consequences of what's going on. I remember one of the most insightful things one of my children said to me once was, let's let future Amy think about that, because they just didn't have enough information. When we're dealing with uncertainty, it can also really trigger past trauma. It can be really difficult if you don't feel like you have a solid ground to stand on. When I'm thinking about buying and selling homes, right? You're making an offer on your home that's contingent on the sale of your home. And oh, that can be stressful, uncertainty. And so what you can do is just make every effort to get all the information that you can get and to do some workshopping about, if I do this, these are the things that might happen, right? And that'll decrease your uncertainty. Next is complexity. A lot of major life decisions are indeed very complex. There's a lot of moving parts. And so in my business, I work really hard to come up with different tools that I can use if I'm facing a hard decision. If you were to join me in the Jumpstart that's starting on July 18th, we're going to have 4 weeks of onboarding. So you'll have everything from soup to nuts about being a Young Living distributor, somebody who shares, we call them brand partners, somebody who shares Young Living, because that's one of my major businesses I'm growing that I absolutely love. But teaching people how to navigate complexity is going to be a big part of that. Then you've got significant implications for our lives. What if I take this job and it doesn't work out? My family doesn't like where I live. What if I move and I hate it and I really wish I could go back, right? It could really impact us. What if I move and I lose the job that I moved for? And so you're going to have to minimize that to the best of your ability. Sometimes the best way to do this is just to realize that where you are isn't necessarily as different than where you're going, if that makes sense. So minimize the implications for your life to the extent that you can. The next one is emotional attachment. It can be really hard to make a big decision, even when logically, right? We all have these friends that save our bacon when this happens. We'll say, I've got a really hard decision to make. I'm trying to choose between this or that. And your friend will go, you want to do this. Why would you even consider doing that? And you realize they're giving you the honest, subjective, objective answer while you're sitting there thinking, oh, but I'm so comfortable here. Oh, I love my friends here, right? So you're being emotional. Get someone who can talk to you from just a facts basis, and that'll help you navigate that emotion. I also recommend, if your emotional attachment is to like a thing or a place, to get a nice drawing of that place or save a picture of that thing if the items aren't something that you can save. If your attachment is to people, make a plan and a promise that you're going to be staying in touch with them. If your attachment is to a place, make sure that you're going to be able to visit that place, right? There are ways to address our sadness about change in that area. Next is just going to be a fear of regret. And I would encourage you to embrace this head on and to understand that with great risk sometimes does come great regret, but that it's 1000% worth it. If you are stuck in your life, making a major life change, even if it's not perfect, may end up being exactly what you need. Because here's the trick. You're here and you're going there and you're worried about what it will be. And maybe it doesn't even work out that great, but it leads you to here, which is absolutely magical. So believe in your path, believe in what you're doing, believe in yourself, and know that even if the first step doesn't work out with this major decision the way you wanted it to, it's opening up doors to another step that could be exactly what you needed. Our path isn't always up to us, right? We want it to be a neat little bow, A, B, C. That's what's going to happen. But it's important to realize that sometimes we go through a path that we may regret and end up in a much better place. Next is going to be limited information. You may have to make a really big decision and not have all the data you wish you had to do it. And so what you can do in that event is you can choose to get all the information that you want to the best of your ability, right? Get information the way you can. Talk to people who've done what you have done or thinking about doing. Ask your friends their advice. Get as much data as possible if that's what helps you make decisions. Next is going to be the long term impact. And this is something that you may not be able to predict, but one of the things that I like to help people with is breaking down the information and the possibilities. So, for example, I had a friend who was saying, gosh, I really wish I could retire. And so I said, well, what's your retirement number? What's the number that you need? And they had no idea. So it's hard to start moving towards that goal if you don't even understand what the long-term impact could be of retiring early and not having enough saved, or of retiring early when you could have retired earlier, right? You want to kind of game it out a little bit, but realize it's just one of the variables. And then last but not least is personal growth and identity. You know, a lot of the times we feel very much a part of the organizations that we are connected with. And when we leave those organizations or dismissed from those organizations, our identity can be shaken. When we're making a major decision, I think it's important to realize what the opportunities for personal growth and identity would be with any new change. I have really grown in this area to where my new perspective is that work is not my family, but work is a team, which is what work should be. And a team can be close, a team can be friends, a team can mean a lot. But I can't tell you the number of times I've been told this place is like a family, but the family didn't stick together, right? So when you're thinking about your personal identity, make sure you're staying strong in your own personal identity, that you don't lose who you are, that you don't, because of this major decision, start working outside of your values or being taken advantage of, right? Make sure that in the end, you are true to you. And then any major decision will be one that you won't have to regret. So I hope this has helped you. If you have a major life decision coming up, let me know what it is. I can't wait to hear what you're up to and what's going on. And I can't wait to see you back here